What up guys, welcome back to the vlog. We're doing something a little different today. We are at Radwood, which if you know what that is, it is a really cool event that happens all around the country that really showcases a lot of 80s and 90s cars. The rad era, if they call it that. Still, otherwise, if you are not familiar with it, that is exactly what it is an event that showcases a lot of 80s and 90s cars. And what's cool about this is that it's the next wave of collectible cars, as I see it. And you'll see by the size of this event and how many they do around the country, a lot of other people see it that way too. So when you think about collector cars, a lot of people kind of think of like, I don't know, 50s, 60s, 70s. Older people think way further back than that, like 30s, pre-war era cars and stuff like that. My generation, when I think classic cars, I think 80s and 90s. So we're gonna take a look at some of the 80s and 90s cars that are here today. There's some really cool ones from European to Japanese to American. So we'll see what's here and see what we can jump into about how these cars are becoming collectible. Right in front of me is a Suzuki Cappuccino. This has been a really popular car for us. We've sold a good amount of these. My friend Mickey from Throttle bought one. Ricky from Throttle bought one. They built them together. They're very cool little cars. If you like Miatas but want something smaller, this is like a micro machine that you can drive. They're quite popular. Also quite popular right behind me are these 80 series Toyota Land Cruisers. So these are super cool. I was driving one of these for quite a while, right-hand drive turbo diesel one that I absolutely loved until it sold, and definitely a car I'd like to get my hands back on again. It's aged really well, and with the right tires and the right setup and you clean it up, it becomes a really cool looking car that has all of the utility that you would want in an off-road vehicle with still that kind of classic styling. One thing that's cool about these, the Japanese ones did come turbo diesel, which is really cool, and they also come with an ice box and a hot box, so you could put, not like a hot box like you smoke a bunch of weed in it, but like an ice box or a hot box where you could keep things warm or keep things cold, which is really cool. Keeps my energy drinks nice and chilled, so I really liked it for that. Another car we import a good amount of that I wouldn't say is like super crazy popular, but we get enough requests from that we keep one in stock at all times, is the Nissan Figo. So this is a Pike factory car, they call it. Basically what Nissan did, they designed 4 cars, the B1, the Escargot, the Figaro, and the Pau, and they did like a retro styling on 90s cars. So even though this is a 1990s car, definitely looks like something you would see in the 60s or 70s. They were really popular. They sold all of them right away, and still to this day there's still a lot of people that would like to get their hands on one. They make very cool little cars. You can see the top comes down on this one, so it's like an aero cabin style. They're all automatic, they're all turbo, so they are a little peppy. You can definitely drive around in them. Pretty cool car on its own. Supra boys in the house already right here. So obviously I have a Supra. I love the Supra platform. I like all of them. The A70 Supra is really cool. These early 90s cars have gotten really popular. They have a 1JZ engine in them, so people really like them because they have that kind of turbo power. You can build them just like you build a 2J, and they make a lot of power in a lighter weight chassis. So this car is aging really well too, and definitely one you should look into. They have gone up dramatically in price in the last couple of years, just with the price of the A80 Supra getting so high. A90 now has gotten a little bit more expensive due to people defaulting back to that one. All right, can't walk past this one without stopping at it. This is an AutoZam AZ1. This is another weird, quirky little car. You could see that it has the gull wing style door here with the glass top. This is a K car, so 660cc car, different type of registration in Japan, so a little less tax wise, a little less consumption tax on it. So a lot of manufacturers back in the day were, and still to this day, are making cars that are 660cc's or lower for this special type of registration. The Honda Beat is one of those as well. That gets quite popular, and the Suzuki Cappuccino that we saw earlier, same category of car. Just the AZ1 has this weird kind of thing about it. It's an AutoZam, but essentially a Mazda speed version of these available. So kind of another weird, cool car. These will run you somewhere in the mid-20s these days, so quite a bit more expensive than in the other K vehicles that we've seen earlier. All right, so like I mentioned, it's not just Japanese cars. There's a lot of cool European and American stuff here as well. And right in front of us are these older Ferraris. These Ferraris were like really iconic. In the 80s, you could see that by today's design standards, kind of a little weird, but believe it or not, these were actually really great cars, and people now are kind of starting to see this big resurgence in this era of car. Older Ferraris definitely always go up in value. These ones so far have kind of sat for a long time where they're at, so it's a really great buy if you're looking to get something that in the future is going to be a really unique Ferrari. All right, you can't be at Radwood, an 80s and 90s car show, without stopping at a DeLorean. The DeLorean Motor Cars DMC, really iconic car, mostly from the movie Back to the Future. But when I was in Houston for Texas 2K, I got the opportunity to stop by DeLorean and see what they're doing as far as the restoration program and all that kind of stuff. So what's really crazy about DeLorean today, even though they're coming out with a new car, they still have a huge backstock of older cars. If I can find some B-roll, I'm going to drop it in right now. But basically, all of the stuff that you need to restore a DeLorean, they probably have at DeLorean in Houston, which is really crazy. Look at this psychopath.
Hello!
What's going on, man?
Welcome to Redwood!
Well, look at, well, you got the little glasses going on there.
Yeah, I'm on corporate branded today.
Sorry to break up your conversation, but I need you for the vlog for 1 minute. Look at this guy. Alright, so here's what I got now. Alright, so from a car collector perspective, you're gonna talk to me about the collectability of 80s and 90s cars. Gentlemen, formerly of Top Rank Royalty, now over at this little company called Haggerty doing his corporate thing. What would you say about the collectability of these cars, 80s and 90s? Where's it going? What does it mean for our generation?
Japanese cars are hot. I think that's where the market is, because our generation grew up in all Gran Turismo and in that Fast and Furious era. So, you know, those early 90s to 2000s stadium cars are kind of the hot move. If you're into the Euro scene, obviously there's some Euro candidates there. E30, M3, BMWs, M5s, the Benzes, if you're into the Benzes. Obviously, if you want to spend a lot of money, you can jump into the Porsche game and get you some crazy Porsche stuff over there. But for me, I think the reasonable sweet spot in the collector car market is in the Japanese car scene. That's why I have a 95 or 33 GTR.
Oh, my man. Yes, he does. All right, cool. And if you happen to get into this weird world of collectible 80s and 90s cars, or any collectible cars, you can go visit my friend Steve over here at Haggerty and Garage and Social, and you could park your car there for the low cost of $1,000 a month.
Actually, it's $750.
Oh, $750 a month at the Van Nuys location. Yes. So buy the car from me, store the car with Steve. Absolutely. That's how we're doing it these days. All right, so on the inside, you can see there's a really large warehouse here filled with cool cars from the 80s and 90s. A lot of cool Porsche stuff, the slant nose. This one definitely has a vibe to it. It's got like the Pasha checkerboard interior with some HRE wheels in what looks to be Ruby Star with a ton of crazy graphics on it. So, and then of course, another slant nose next to it with the arrow. But really the whole kind of vibe of Radwood is kind of putting these themes together. So you can see here, she looks like she's just chilling, maybe not part of the display, but you got the boat with the 80s boombox. You got the BMX bike with the Land Cruiser that's got the OG kind of look to it. That's pretty crazy. You got a forklift in the background really holding down the teals, which is really great. And then the Honda Beat, which I talked about earlier in the vlog, is another one of those K cars. And if you're wondering what a Honda Beat was, here's an example of one that is pretty clean. Another thing that was an absolute vibe back in the 80s and 90s, as I understand it, was this kind of two-tone look to it. So you can kind of see it's like one color on the top and dark on the bottom. We see this not only with the Porsche 944s and 924s, but we also see it a lot with the S13s back in that day, where there was like a nice kind of separation of it. A really, truly Japanese thing to do, but we see it in a lot of European cars as well. Another 90s car, probably not to sleep on for that much longer, is the C4 Corvette. This one obviously seems really clean and really, really well preserved. These cars used to be really in the $4,000 range, and now we're starting to see really clean examples going for significantly more. This is a car that I think personally would be cool to have. I find them interesting. I wasn't I don't even know if I was like, I don't know what age I was when this car came out, but not old enough to care about cars. But now that I see them, they seem really, really cool. It's got the clamshell hood that opens up, which is definitely, you know, a design vibe from that time. There's so many cool colors that came in this one. This one is black, which pretty generic, but there is a really like amazing color green, like bluish green, that I'm hoping we see today while we're here, because it is really, really great. But this is an LT1, makes it a special car, makes it really, really interesting, and definitely one of those cars that as a lot of these start to age up, you're gonna see a ton of collectability coming out of. The inside is really wild, has that kind of cockpit feel similar to the Supra where things face this way. The gauges light up and look really crazy. It is a wide car, so you set a little separated from the passenger, but really, 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 really cool car. All right, another Japanese car that truly embraces this whole kind of era is the NSX. I mean, wow, this car is so cool. I want to own one so bad. And this one with the stock wheels and the black roof, I mean, it's just so sick. This is basically exactly what I would want if I was gonna get NSX. I really, really, really hope to get one. Prices continue to go up on them. They become more and more special every single year, and this one just looks like it is immaculately preserved. I would love a car like this because I could see the ability to be able to show this car so much in the future as an OEM car. Wow, just absolutely so sick, dude. Possibly the perfect transition if this was red, but with the NSX in the background, we have the Ferrari Testarosa. This car is so sick. Another car that I would like literally love to own so much, just because the styling of this to me just seems so classic and so timeless. And there was a point when you could buy one of these cars very, very inexpensively, and now these cars are well into the $200,000 range for a really, really good one. And when I say inexpensive, I'm talking like 60 grand bought you a nice one. The prices in these have gone up dramatically. This one is super cool. I know the owner of this car. I've met him before at other Radwood events. It has a really, really cool story behind it, which is way too much to get into, but just know the Ferrari Testarosa is on my list of cars that you should seriously consider getting. So part of this event, and part of almost all of Haggerty's events, are ride and drives. I've done them before. Today at Radwood, we have this Maserati. So Maserati and the 80's kind of go hand in hand. Popular car in the 80's for all sorts of reasons. Similarities to Ferrari. A lot of famous F1 drivers back in the day drove Maseratis. A lot of celebrities drove Maseratis. Sylvester Stallone, I think, was a big Maserati guy. So a lot of cool stuff coming from Maserati back in the day. This Maserati Shamal is pretty interesting. And to be honest with you, I don't know a ton about this car. Do you?
A little bit.
What can you tell me about it?
Under 400 made. I want to say like 370 of them made. It is a twin turbo V8. It is loosely based on the Maserati Biturbo, which was a V6. This has a couple extra cylinders, but same layout for the engine. And yeah, she's a looker. 95, I want to say, is the year of this one. And cool. Quick, it's like 375 horsepower, so you'll see.
1995 twin turbo V8. So that is what we're working with in this very small, short wheelbase car. Looks like it should be a pretty good time. And you can see a lot of that Italian influence, obviously, in this car that was prevalent in the 80s and 90s, same as we've seen with a lot of the Ferraris that we've seen inside. So let's go see what this thing is like. So one thing that just got pointed out to me is this is like a front wing. So it's like a wing that you would have, or like a spoiler you'd have on the back, but it is on the front of the car. Not totally sure what that does. I'll have to look that up later. Another thing that's kind of weird is like, you know, if you look at this, we see this on some Japanese cars sometimes, but it has like a really wonky long antenna, which lays flat, which is kind of funny. So inside, very plush interior, like really a lot of foam and leather in here. And it smells like an old leather jacket in here. And look at this timepiece that's in here. Really classic for the time to have a timepiece in the dash. We still see it today on a lot of luxury cars, but definitely has that kind of 80s leather smell about it, which is cool. I like how 90s Japanese cars get a bad rap, and this one's like, sometimes it idles at 1,000, sometimes 2,000, but hey, it's Italian.
Just is what it is, you know, don't worry about it.
I think it's just a 90s Italian thing.
Yeah, it's just what they do.
All right. Cool. So let's see what this clutch do. Kind of heavy clutch, but not doggy at the bottom of the gear and real snappy at the top of the gear, I think would be a good way to put it. I mean, it feels really old. This feels way older than 1995. This feels like 1975. It has like a Cadillac interior to it.
The clock is not helping that.
Yeah, this timepiece is like looks like something that someone would have wore in like World War I. But yeah, it is this car feels way older than a 95. So for reference, an R33 GTR is a 1995. This feels way older than that. Everything about it, from the way the clutch operates to, you know, the design of the steering wheel, really to the really foamy kind of interior. But it's okay.
It's got some turbo lag, but that's part of the fun.
A lot of turbo lag. I guess to be expected with a V8. Probably not something that they were doing a whole lot of back in 1995. But all in all, I mean,
it's the best bi-turbo you'll ever drive.
Take it back. I don't know. I mean, it's. I don't know.
What I'm hearing from you is you'll keep the R32.
Yeah, I'll keep everything I got. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you think of other cars in 1995 that were available. I mean, you have, you know, like the NSX, I guess would be an option.
Yeah.
You know, you had some really good
price range.
Yeah, some really good Italian sports cars, also 95. I guess, I mean, you have the Lancia, which was really cool, and, you know, there's a lot of stuff there. You know, I feel like true to a lot of Maseratis, there's a lot of really, truly iconic Maseratis. There's a lot of, like, really middle-of-the-road Maseratis.
I think this one is somewhere in between. It has iconic looks and not so much everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say very interesting car. Definitely one for one of those weird car books that has like obscure car kind of things in it, but not the iconic Maserati that you're probably hoping to own.
No, it is no birdcage.
Huh. All right, well, this has been the Maserati.
Shamal.
It's been the Maserati Shamal. Thanks for riding, and never stop driving. So basically, on the Maserati Shamal, what we got was interesting car. There's probably other 90s Italian cars you should get first, but that one was interesting. It's a V8 twin turbo. I fit in it, which is a big plus. I don't fit in a lot of other 90s Italian cars like Ferraris. So from that perspective, if you're tall like me, then maybe this is the option. Speaking of other cars that are kind of small that I don't fit in, look at the display we have here. This thing is a Suzuki Samurai, and you've got the whole kind of like Domino's Pizza mannequin kind of deal set up. You've got this really wild kind of paint job on it, California Trends on the back. Look at that, trendsetter. And really super interesting vehicle. This car is kind of Radwood royalty. We see it here at most of the Radwood events that I go to, and has definitely become a well-known car at these events. Fit check.
Fit check?
Yeah, look at this. This is my boy Georgie right here. Look at this. We got, what let me see the tags. We got Gecko Hawaii.
Yeah.
Look at that, man. The whole suit. And then let's not shy away from the wrist. What do you got here? Look at that. Casio gold.
Amazon's best.
Looking good, buddy. Looking good. Guys, end of the vlog is here. We've got other stuff to do today. My boy Steve kicking it. And again, one common thing that we're hearing over and over here today, especially in the award ceremony, is that these cars are important to the people that are here because they remember them from when, you know, they were younger. These are the cars that they either had when they were in high school, it's the cars they wanted in high school, or they had this version of the car in high school, but now they can buy the good version of it. So really what we're seeing is just that resurgence of the next generation of collector coming forward to showcase their cars, to buy those cars, no different than we have in every single generation before it. It's just this time, you know, we're doing it a little bit differently with some cars that maybe a lot of other people are looking at and saying, I don't know who would want one of these. The answer is we do. We want these. See you guys in the next one.